Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and I just got done watching Tenet, last night. I was gonna do a review last night specifically, but after directly watching a movie, my mind is kind of like crazy. Uh, I stopped to analyze things and stuff, and I decided to do it this morning instead, so I can give you a much better review. A more in-depth review. So I saw early access of Tenet yesterday, and let me just say I'm glad the cinema is back, the theater. I know you're gonna say, but New Mutants came out. No, I'm gonna ignore New Mutants. I saw it and it was terrible. That is not the welcoming to theaters. Tenet for me is the welcoming to theaters, and it's been long awaited. I was hyped up for it. Christopher Nolan, he's my favorite director of all time. I genuinely believe he's the best director I've ever seen, and what he's done with all his movies like The Dark Knight, Interstellar, Inception, everything. It's just phenomenal. And his new film, Tenet, which is what I'm reviewing, and I had to get an early access so I could do this review for you guys. So I'm going to talk about what I think. Don't worry, there won't be any spoilers in this video because the movie just came out and I think it's wrong for me to put out spoilers. I honestly believe you should go watch the movie yourself. It is a theater movie. Christopher Nolan himself said this is the type of movie you have to go watch in theaters. It's the best experience you can get out of a film like this. So anyways, let me review. Now, I'm not going to go more in depth what the story is. You can find that out in the trailer. I'm just going to say things I did like and things I didn't like. So first, I'm going to get out the negatives. So the negative is the movie's insanely confusing if you stop for even 1 minute to not pay attention. The story's way too complex. It's insanely confusing, especially in the very beginning. You're really confused on what's even happening. Don't worry, if you're actually paying attention to the film, you will start getting it more and more. And lots of people have been saying that they didn't get it until the second viewing. I personally understood it after the first viewing, what this whole time inversion is. Yes, that's basically what Tenet is. Time inversion. I'm not going to go into details of that. But yeah, the movie can be confusing and it is frustrating because I personally don't like being that confused in films. And another criticism I have for it is sometimes there's scenes in the movie, or quite a few scenes that a lot of people have been noticing, where the music is playing so loud, like the score in the background is playing so loud that you actually can't even hear what the dialogue is being said. You hear mumbling in three ways. Because of the score, then sometimes it's because of the heavy Russian accent some of the characters have. And then the third was there's scenes where they have masks on, and you can't really understand some of the things they're saying. I personally understood most of it, but there were moments where I'm like, what did they just say? And another criticism I have is you don't really go into details with the character. The main protagonist of the movie doesn't even have a name. His name is the protagonist, which I'm fine with. But the issue is there's no motivations for these characters. They want to save the world from time inversion, but none of the thing about Christopher Nolan movies most of the time, especially The Dark Knight and Inception, is that you have moments where the characters are stopping and they're saying what their motivations are. They say why they do the things they do. In this movie, there was never a scene where they stopped. There was no personal stakes for these characters. And in a movie where you save the world, I feel like you should be having personal stakes for each character. And it kind of ruined it for me, how there was no stakes for the characters. It was frustrating to watch because I was like, what are they even doing this for? And it was really frustrating to see that. So those are really the only criticisms I have. Now let's get into the good things. Now, the best thing this film does have to offer is the cinematography and the visuals. Everything looks beautifully well shot, which is why I think this is definitely a theater movie where you go to the theaters and watch this and experience it. All the shots of them going reverse look really well done. Everything, every scene, you can even see in the trailers, everything looks really well shot. And Christopher Nolan isn't the biggest fan of CGI. and I love the practical. Well, of course they have to use some CGI, but everything was really well done, and I personally I like that. A lot of the action scenes are really well made. I personally don't like Christopher Nolan's action scenes, especially in the Dark Knight movies, where the action looks kind of sloppy. And but in this movie, surprisingly, I think this is one of his best action moments. He's improved in the action game, which I like, and the action in the movie is really good. And another great thing is this actually goes against the confusing thing I said, but there's moments in this movie that you're gonna be like, oh my god, I did not expect that. I'm not gonna say things because, like I said, this is a non-spoiler review, but there are moments where you're like, oh, like you're just left surprised. And yeah, I'm not gonna say more because I feel like I might accidentally spoil. But every actor in this film was phenomenal. I think John Washington something. I think that's his name of the protagonist. That's his name, protagonist. I loved his acting. That's the first film I've ever seen of him, and I really enjoyed him. Robert Pattinson. I've been saying it for a long time. I love him as an actor, and like a lot of people keep calling him Twilight Boy. And I think we should just forget that he was young, but in this film he wasn't even the star. He was like a side character. His charisma, I love his character. Like I said earlier in this review, I don't like how none of the characters really had any stakes. None of the characters had any personal gain. I think the closest personal gain was the protagonist wanting to help the young lovely lady in distress, or a generic storyline, but that's really the closest. It's really weird, but Robert Pattinson, he has no stakes, but he as an actor, I will give him credit. Every actor in this film was great. It's only the writing that went off on these characters. Like, these actors, they definitely did well. And one thing that I do realize the difference between Inception and Tenet, I am comparing them a lot because Christopher Nolan has said this is a sequel to Inception, which I find that really, really hard to believe after watching this film. They're both not related at all. There is no connections. There is no cameo. So you're just left there. How is this even a sequel? Leonardo DiCaprio, this is what Christopher Nolan said. During filming for Inception, he would stop and say, hey, let's have moments of the character. Like in Inception, you have how his wife died because of this imagination world, and he doesn't want to get stuck into limbo. There's like personal stakes in Inception. Tenet really misses that because the protagonist really doesn't have that type of motivation, not for a wife, not for anything. The closest, like I said, the closest motivation was just saving the one white girl that he just met like 10 minutes into the film, which and that actress Elizabeth, I forgot her last name, great actress, great with everything. I love the bad guy, the Russian dude. I don't even remember most of these characters' names because they don't really say it that often. Another issue I do have with the film that I completely forgot to mention is the film is insanely fast-paced. And what does that mean? I think there's, in like 40 minutes of the film, they go to 44 different countries. I almost said 40, but 4. And I feel like everything's really fast-paced. This movie doesn't stop to let you breathe. And I do like fast-paced films. Just I feel like in those types of movies, there should be scenes like Inception. Inception does this really well, where they stop, they talk about it, the stakes, what it means for them. And, Tenet needed a scene like that in order for me to care more about the film. And I feel like this review sounds like I'm bashing it. I am in a way, but I am not. Because going into Christopher Nolan films, I always expect a masterpiece. I expect to leave the theater wanting the applause, and and this movie did make me want applause, but it didn't. I never considered it a masterpiece. No single minute of the film was I like, oh yeah, this is a masterpiece. No. And Christopher Nolan, like, if this film was made by a young director who was just up and coming, then I would call that director a future talent and could win an Oscar in the future. But since this is Christopher Nolan, in a way, I'm left a bit disappointed. But I'm just gonna answer this question. The film was a good film, and personally, I give it an 8.5 out of 10, which is a pretty good score. But for Christopher Nolan, I always expect 9s or 10s as my rating, and I was just left a bit disappointed. But like I said, the film visually is really well, the action's really well, and the plot of time inversion is insanely interesting, and I love it. Just that there's a lot of issues that I have with the film. Well, not a lot, more like a few. And so yeah, do I recommend this film? Yeah, I recommend you go to a theater and get the best experience you can, because this film is too beautifully well done to miss out in theaters. Watching it in your house's TV is just boring, and this is a theater film. And oh yeah, I forgot to review the score. The score is really, really well done. Like I said, I just think it's an editing issue on how some of the scores were way too loud that you couldn't even hear some of the characters talking. I didn't like that. But yeah, all the scores were done well. One thing that does confuse me is Christopher Nolan picking Travis Scott to make a song for this movie, where they played it in the credits. The song matches the film. It's a terrible song from Travis Scott, but it matches the movie really well. Y'all go listen to it. I can't play it here because of copyright issues. I do find it weird, Christopher Nolan getting a Travis Scott type to come and play. It's weird. But anyways, I think that's going to be it for the review. Final score is 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a good movie, but it has a lot of flaws to it that it doesn't make it a masterpiece, but it makes it a great time in the theater, and I think that's what matters. I mean, I just came to the theater, and I'm glad to be back in the movies. I cannot wait to be doing reviews, and I'm glad I went to go watch the early access just so I can do this early review. Now, with that being said, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Instagram, IsaacDino21. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.